Hello, everyone, and welcome to your fourth snap take in 2 days. Yeah, this is the second one in today. I had to do my regular deck video. We have to look at our first Gilgamesh and Thena decks. Plus, I was sent the number 2 deck last season. BBAK, former number 1 player in February, came out of freaking nowhere with a Surfer deck of all things, got a bajillion snap points, and finished in second place on the Infinite Leaderboard. That's wild. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to review that Werewolf by Night bundle. I'm doing it here instead of a short just because, like, doing so many videos, I'm sort of running out of time and I got to get to bed at some point soon. So let's get to it. But first, I want to tell you, at some point in this video, I'm going to ask you a question, and your answer to that question will help you win a season pass. We are giving away, as long as you're subscribed, a season pass on every video, basically, for the last 2 weeks. We gave away up until Monday's video, so both of yesterday's videos and both of today's videos have season passes, along with Thursday, tomorrow's video, and Friday's video. So all you have to do is be subbed and comment what I tell you to in this video in order to win that season pass. I'm even going to tell you today, because I'm feeling magnanimous, when I'm going to make that comment. In the questions of the day, I'm going to ask you something about how, and you're going to leave that comment, and that's how you win the season pass. Cool. In addition, if you'd like to see gameplay for these 3 decks, it is Wednesday, so the stream team member GamingwithFlashX at 5 p.m. Eastern will be streaming. Tomorrow morning, Flash will have a YouTube video up with games with these decks. Meanwhile, the great Prashaun has a video with some of yesterday's new card decks up. If you're curious about the patch, we have a patch-specific video up this morning. If you're curious about the series drops, we have one for those. And if you're curious about planning for all the spotlights this month, we have a specific video for that. So there's so many videos for you. And if you want decks from any of them, check out the stream team. Our first deck is one we've seen. I'm going to start you off nice and easy. This is one of the best decks in Marvel Snap. It's also quickly becoming one of the most expensive from something that was honestly fairly cheap when it first started. When this deck first started, you needed... well, I guess you still sort of only need the same 4 cards. You need Cannonball, you need Hope, you need Kitty, and you need Ravonna for this deck. Almost, and I guess you need Jeff, right? But Jeff is just the best card in the game, I think, right now. So I don't know if that counts. But you can sort of work without anything else. This is like an amazing control shell. It's extremely, extremely competitive, really, really hard to beat. It controls with everything, goes big with everything, without having to play a lot of really expensive cards. So you can find... this deck, you can find Safety at twitch.tv/SafetyBlade. SafetyBlade is Marvel Snap's own writer and has 10,000 Twitter followers, one of the great creators of all of Marvel Snap. He originated this deck. You've seen this everywhere. You've seen this on everyone's channel at this point. I wanted to find you a really cool Thena home, but the best Thena home is just sort of here. So it is what it is. So this deck needs Kitty, Hope, Cannonball, Ravonna, and Jeff. You can replace the others with Wolfsbane, Morph, Green Goblin, Nebula, White Widow, and Elsa. Any of those cards will do. I would start with Wolfsbane and Nebula, and then go to Morph and Green Goblin. Cool. All right, so this is a top meta deck. It has a real argument for best deck in the game. It's at least top 5. If you're curious what I think the top 5 are, at the end of the week, we're going to look at all the different decks that hit number 1 on the Infinite Leaderboard last season, and then the decks that I think are meta relevant this season. That'll be Sunday's video if you're curious. So it's a look back and a look forward. So get ready for that. Turn 1, you want to play Kitty. Turn 2, you're going to drop Ravonna over Angela or Thena over Jeff. And then turn 3, you would like to play Hope. However, if you've got that Thena thing going and you've already played Ravonna, there's some argument to skipping Hope and just going Thena and then like going Kitty Angela, right? Or if you've got Angela, then you can go Thena Kitty or etc. If you did not get that Thena out, then feel free to just drop Nocturne as well. You can also go Jeff Kitty, I suppose, on Angela. This is a better play if you're going to Ravonna, because getting that extra power out for turn 4 Professor X is important. But you don't always turn 4 Professor X. A lot of times turn 4 is building up a whole bunch of energy, and then turn 5 you're looking to Professor X, very often with Havoc, because that's an extra 8 power with Professor X for a 9 power Professor X lane, which is pretty damn good. You can also play a 3 and a 2 together and be perfectly fine with this list. Turn 5 is Havoc or Sage plus Professor X. Turn 6 is Cannonball or Sage Plus. And then you just, because you're playing on Angela, you're building Thena, you put it, and you have Havoc as a 1 or 2 8. You have a ton of power. If you can lock a lane and Cannonball, you just win. It's a ton of cubes. This is a cube stealer, one of the best decks in Marvel Snap. Safety's clear deck. I wrote version 234.6 because there have been so many versions of this deck at this point. This deck has existed since at least early April. and has slowly become more and more meta relevant since, to the point where everyone's sort of throwing Professor X and Cannonball stuff with Hope shenanigans in all the decks, and the Ravona thing with the extra cheap stuff is just really strong. It's one of the best things you can do in the game. Give it a try if you have access to these cards, if you get Thena. All right, please hit that sub button. We bring you more Marvel Snap content than anyone. This week will be, oh my god, like 9 videos? No, that's wrong. It will be, 9 videos. Not even counting the shorts. We bring you a ton of decks. We have all the top players send us their decks. We get exclusive top of the ladder, top of the meta decks that no one else gets to you faster than possible. If you want to stay ahead of the meta, this is the place to be. Hit that sub button, ring that bell. We also do the biggest and most giveaways. It's also worth liking and commenting. It really helps us out. Hopefully we provide enough value that you like, comment, watch as long as you can, and help us grow. All right, our BBAK Surfer. I'm going to tell you straight up, I was a little surprised at this until I looked at really closely at it, and then a lot more started to make sense. This is built to counter all the meta decks, right? If you're dealing with ongoing bullshit, well, you've got, on reveal bullshit, you've got Cosmo. If you're dealing with Loki type nonsense, you've got Mobius. Sick of bounce, you've got Killmonger. If you just need to get power out, you've got the Brood, the Shaw, the Mockingbird. It's really hard to Professor X this list because it gets bigger in those lanes, and it can spread and compete in all 3. Bounce is a 2-lane list. This is a 3-lane list, and it's able to get big enough in every single lane to really compete, and that's largely thanks to the presence of Mockingbird, who is unfortunately a requirement here. If you're interested in checking out BBAK Snap, it's BBAK_Snap at Twitter. So you need Shaw and Mockingbird for this. Jeff can be Nocturne or maybe like Goose if you really want to go wild. Mobius can be Red Guardian here without losing, honestly, too much unless you're really afraid of Loki. So BBAK was ranked like 14 and then started playing this, climbed 700 snap points, which at high infinite is just an insane win rate in a few days, and finished in the 2nd place slot ahead of our friend Sizer, which is just wildly impressive. So this is a real deck, and everything sort of flows together, right? So turn 1, you just kind of want to get Nova down unless you think you might want to Brood on, but you can pass that if you know you're not going to Brood on 4, if you think you have other things. Like if you already have, for example, Hope in hand, maybe you save Nova and you can go Hope and something else on turn 4 on that Hope, right? So turn 2 Forge if you're going to go Brood or Shaw, but if you have Hope, maybe you save that for turn 5, and then you can go like Nova Forge Brood or Shaw on turn 5, and then you can spend turn 6, now that you've played all those extra cards, going Killmonger Surfer, right? Or Killmonger Mockingbird, and you go off that way. So like it's got all these extra like half turns. The play patterns without Hope are like much simpler than those with Hope. So if you don't have Hope, you pass on 1, you go on turn 2 into Forge, into Brood or Shaw, if you Mobius if you need to. Then you play another 3 with Nova on turn 4. Then turn 5, you play Jeff and another 3, and again, we're aiming for Brood or Shaw. And then you're going to end with Mockingbird and Surfer, Surfer Absorbing Man if you had the Hope, or Killmonger Surfer. And then you win, because you just put a ton of power on the board. Sometimes, toward the end of the game, by the way, Cosmo will be the right play as well, instead of one of those other plays. Don't be afraid to not make Cosmo a 5. You'll be totally fine. One last look at this one. This deck completely clocked everyone in the face. Phenomenal deck. All right, more S'mores is a bad bundle if you own Werewolf by Night. However, if you do own Werewolf by Night, this is 160% value. That's better than the last time they tried to sell us a Series 5 card this way, and Werewolf by Night is a card that is sort of a little overrated right now, but will occasionally get better. If anything out of Professor X, it's going to be incredible. And this is basically a way to say, I can guarantee myself half a new card, 4,000 gold, get some variants, or use that to get basically guarantee myself the rest of a new card and get Werewolf. This ends up in my head being, if you need Werewolf, being about $50 per new card, which is honestly the going rate in Marvel Snap. I know that's expensive. I didn't decide that. Don't yell at me. If you're trying to get new cards, though, and you're willing to spend to get there, and you don't have Werewolf, I think that it's worth buying this, assuming you would like to play Werewolf. If you wouldn't like to play Werewolf, obviously don't buy it. Now, if you have Werewolf, please don't buy this. This is a terrible deal for anyone who owns Werewolf by Night. All clear? More S'mores, cool bundle, but that's my thoughts on it. It's a buy if you both don't have and want to play Werewolf and have the money. Cool. All right, our final deck is Riku's Gilgamesh Patriot. I'm not sure this is the build. This is the Pixie version of the build for sure. Excuse excuse me, but we've seen plenty of other versions of this that don't bother with Pixie. This is more than anything else an Ultron list. This deck wins and loses based on Ultron and Supergiant. Riku played this for half a day and got almost all the way to Infinite and is quite sick. I hope you feel better, Riku. And then, like, yeah, this is a great deck. Let's get going with this. So you can find Riku on Twitter at Alpha by Crack. Mobius could be Wave, and I think Mobius might actually be better as Wave in the deck. Supergiant and Gilgamesh are needed. You could totally play this without Gilgamesh, but like the whole point of this is to do a Gilgamesh thing. If you get Pixie out, one of your cards should be cheaper, right? If you get Pixie and Mobius out, you're guaranteed that. If one of your cards is cheaper and you can play something else, you're in heaven. Like if you can go Supergiant into Gilgamesh plus something else, Gilgamesh plus Patriot, and then you can play Ultron, you're probably gonna win. Or you can go Onslaught after Supergiant, right? And then you can go Patriot and Gilgamesh. Even if that's just Squirrel Girl or whatever, you're going to go off. So I like the idea of Wave because when you don't see Supergiant, I feel like this deck doesn't work. But if you do see Supergiant, this one's a thing of beauty. Okay. Let's keep going. So Patriot is, I think, the home for Gilgamesh. I think the best of these decks are going to run Supergiant, but I don't think you necessarily need Supergiant. I think there's a lot of different Patriot decks. I'm going to bug my Lee because my Lee should be able to build a busted version of this as well. So turn 1 is Squirrel, turn 2, Pixie is so important, but you're perfectly fine squirreling if you don't have it. Turn 3, if you played Pixie, play Mobius. If not, Patriot is fine. Turn 4 is Supergiant. Turn 5, you have to read the board between Blue Marvel, Claw, and Gilgamesh. If you don't have any buffs, don't play Gilgamesh, play Blue Marvel or Claw. If you feel like you might drop a... it's like really great to steal cubes if you drop that Claw and then you can drop that Onslaught on it. That's an alternate win condition. And then, of course, Blue Marvel is excellent. One last look at this one. This is, again, at its core, a Pixie deck. Do not play this deck without Pixie. It straight up will not work for you. But if you have Pixie, this is one of the best homes for Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh has been a good Season Pass card so far. And don't forget, in tomorrow's video, I will have a bunch of top creators' opinions. Sorry, top ladder players and top creators' opinions on Gilgamesh and on Thena. So you won't have to just trust me. You'll be getting opinions from some of the best players in Marvel Snap. All right, question of the day. Time, and this is where we're going to do our question for you. So I finished the season at rank 330. I don't appear on the Infinite leaderboard, but if you can, because it's bugged as hell, but you can find me. I'm Snap Judgments Pod. You click the Americas leaderboard and you find me at like, what is it, 2,800 snap points around there. And then you look at where that would be on the Infinite leaderboard, and I'm about rank 330. Cool. So I finished the season pretty well. This is the first season I've ever tried on the Infinite leaderboard. I learned a few things that are important. I learned that if you play good decks and you don't screw around, you'll win. I learned that like retreating and keeping your habits tight does make you better, and that good decks can snowball. I learned that even top players retreat a lot. Like a Snap, if they don't have it, they just run. They don't wait to see if they can get it. But I also learned that even top players have really bad days and really bad luck. I talked to a lot of top players as I was climbing, and I saw how they would like fly up and fly down. And a lot of that is just like the game is fairly streaky. I'm not 1,000% sure why I climbed. I think part of the reason I climbed, and like the top players never, ever made me feel this way. Every time I spoke to them, they seemed to understand that my knowledge of the game meant I was at least pretty fucking good at it, because I do, at this point, I think I've proven over and over that I have a very high level of knowledge of this game. The top level players that I talk to all the time sort of understood that from the start, from the jump. But I felt, I don't know, somewhere in the back of my head, I think, that I had something to prove. Like that, like, by the way, I'm not just talking the talk, I could walk the walk. And like, I could probably have climbed higher. Please remember that I am a full-time teacher, a union VP, a father, a husband. I don't have the most free time. I got up to the mid-70s on my season pass last month. So like, just, I didn't grind like up to like a bajillion, right? I just played well. So I feel like I probably proved whatever I had to prove, whether I did or not. And that's kind of what I want your take on. Do you think it helps your perception of the channel that I did that? Does it matter? Does it not matter? Where do you land on this? Was it worth doing? Should I try it again? Like over the summer, I could probably get into the top 100, right? Like I got 330 with my extremely limited time now. I don't know if I want to. what do you think? Let me know what you think about all of this as a whole in the comments. That'll be how you enter to win the season pass. If you're brand new here, you can just be like, I don't care, dude. That's totally fine. But I'm curious in particular about long-term people. And if you just want to enter and you're a new person, you're still more than welcome to. And welcome to the channel. All right, Straight Edge wants my Sentry thoughts since the nerf, and I don't have really solid Sentry thoughts. So Professor X being everywhere, and Professor X is everywhere, largely because of Hela, has chased Annihilus from the meta. It's very hard to play Sentry when your opponent, because Sentry loses you priority, and then your opponent just Professor X's that Sentry lane, turning off your Annihilus, and you lose the game. That's bad for you as an Annihilus player, and given that's the case, I don't think we can actually know what the Sentry nerf did. In the few games I have seen it, it feels worse, but not like a bajillion times worse. It's still a powerful card. Metox Chris asked my favorite Marvel villain. So I used to say Magneto, but I refuse to think of Magneto as a villain. I'm pretty sure he's right. If you build giant robots to go after my people, I think it's worthwhile to defend yourself. Sorry. I think that self-defense is important. I think a lot of what Magneto's offense does is saying, will make you fear us so that you stop hunting us. And I'm a pro Magneto person. I think Magneto is ultimately, outside of megalomaniacal, shitty early 90s Jim Lee Magneto, a phenomenal hero that good guys don't like, because good guys often don't like positive political violence. Although obviously like the nuke stuff and the early 60 stuff, there's exceptions, but like that's not an interesting Magneto to me, so who cares? So my favorite Marvel villain is Doom. Doom is strictly a villain, but Doom is phenomenal. He's unbelievable. He's completely compelling basically in every role. He's extremely complex. He's a super well-developed character. You can tell a well-written Doom is just one of the best things in comics. And Ryan Sindeldecker wants my favorite word. My favorite word is aguacate. I know that's not a word in English. It's avocado in Spanish, but I think it's just the coolest word. I don't know why, but I absolutely adore it. Certain tiers of support on our channel, on our Patreon, come with on-air things. So check out patreon.com/snapjudgments if you'd be interested in checking out what we offer to our Patreons. One of the things is early access. Another is your name in these videos. So we're going to go through this quickly because my eyes are closing. I don't know if you can see them. It is late here, and this is, again, my 4th video in 2 days. So thank you to Abigail Giesler, Meditator Burnouts, our new friend, Andy Lehman. I just skipped Cables. Sorry, Cables. David G. Wingfield, Direwolf, LAB, FaThorNewman, Good Dog Gamer, This Is the Way, Inc., Jane Everett, Jaden Dunlino, Kertix Lee, Koirei, Pyrofros, The Goat Seeker, Denman Falcon, Fat Nick, Doku, Ginger Prime, Philip Ratkovich, Racco, Haplo, Kenny Loggins of the Danger Zone, Rob Silverman, The Bizza, X-Force V, and Skippy G, Snap Judgments League 1's champion, Tommy Nyquist, The King of Bros, Black Dahlia, The Great Kazoo, Jessica Campbell, Ryan Wood, Kev Cihoda, Luna Chris, Lou Antunes, Mod Supreme Models, we love you, Mott, Darth Tater, Clemis Atala, Brian Kaufman, Tristan H. Martin, Fuzzy Dunlop, Spectrumix, Hoot, Matt H., DJ Mikey Hijinks, No Flex, Ocularis, Greg Sterry, Pretty Damn Chill, Seamus, hopefully you're keeping up, I don't think you can anymore, Jonesy, Two Ties, The Pirate King Tuccrr, The Homie Minute, and of course Gunny T, where the T stands for. Good luck with that season pass, y'all. I'll see you tomorrow for more Snap Take. We got a big one coming for you. By the way, if you're missing custom cards, I've been so busy, we're just going to do like an extra week of custom cards. If you wanted to join, check last Wednesday's vid. Peace.